So today we are back in the studio for a still life painting. This is part of the vase series that I painted in last February. So this one is very particular because this one is very much an exercise. I mean, this whole series of vase painting was an exercise for me to try to paint faster and to loosen up my brush stroke, sorry. And yeah, it was very interesting for me. So here I'm using a natural bristle brush number 4. So it's not a huge brush, but it's not a small brush neither, so I cannot really paint any detail with that brush. It's big enough for me to not be able to paint too much details. In the same time, it's small enough to have some control. Especially also the brush is fairly new at this stage, so I'm able to do precise brush stroke. So there's a difference between doing precise brush stroke and painting details. So here I'm gonna go with precision, but I'm gonna avoid any detail. I wanted this painting to be time limited, so I think I set up a timer for like around 2 hours. And I painted a little more. I think I went around 2 hours and a half. It was not really important to paint more than 2 hours to keep going. It's just that having a time limit, it makes me take the decision faster and try to stay within that time limit. But then if I like the painting, I can paint a little more and push it a little further, which was the case for that painting. Almost all the vase I ending up pushing them a little further because I like them. I like this series of painting. So yeah, it's also here the interesting point of that painting is that it's a white vase, and any white object or black object are very interesting to paint because it's usually pretty hard to paint a white object or black objects. So here I'm redoing I have like a cloth underneath the vase, so I'm redoing the cloth, and actually I'm not sure it was a great idea when I look back on the footage, but that's the way it was, and I'm happy about the rendering of the cloth. I'm maybe not happy about the dimension because I think on the left side it should be a little bigger, but that's okay. I'm very happy about the rendering of the cloth. It's very nice. My goal with that vase series was also to apply a lot of paint and to try to apply more paint than I was used to applying so far in my oil painting habit. But I actually succeed doing that only on the first vase painting, this one, because the other ones and also this one in particular, I can tell that the vase is fairly thick in application, and the brushes are fairly there's not much paint on the brushes. I let a lot of transparency appearing in the brush, but I also let a lot of transparency in the cloth, the way I work the cloth and the shadow of the cloth. There's a lot of transparency there. So it's kind of a cool effect because it gives this kind of blurry effect on the cloth. You will see it at the end. But I was not really happy about that because my goal was to apply a lot of paint, and to paint fast. And this was part of my practice in order to be better at plein air painting, at painting outside. So it's very important for me to practice in the studio and to be able to develop habits that are good for studio painting, but also for plein air painting. It's obvious that in the studio I have more time, so if I want to take more time, I can take more time in the studio and go back to the style I painted the Reebok shoe. The sneaker. You can have this video right here. I put it in the description. But I can go to that style at any time. It's just that this style of painting, for me, it takes more time. I take more time to paint subject that way. with like by keeping a lot of transparency, and I paint faster when I apply a thick brush stroke, because when you apply a thick brush stroke, you can basically correct anything you painted already. When you try to keep some transparency, when I try to keep some transparency, there is some areas of the painting that I don't want to overwork, or I don't want to do a brush stroke that will be that will damage that transparent area that I try to keep. And so sometimes it's like I feel it's more like watercolor. When some parts of the painting are already established, I need to really think ahead of time before doing brushstroke on the painting. So it just takes more time to paint that way, and it's a method that I absolutely love to use in the studio. But it's a method that, in my opinion, takes too much time for what I want to do when I paint outside. So I try to develop that other style of painting, where I apply more paint, thicker paint, but it allows me to go faster, and it allows me to correct certain area that I need to correct pretty fast. So here was not exactly the case. I didn't apply paint with an extreme thickness. I mean, I'm not in an extreme thickness anyway, but I can tell here there's still a lot of transparency in that painting. But the vase, the vase application is pretty thick, and I'm happy about that. I had a hard time finding that blue. I still have a hard time when the object has a blue local color somewhere. I have a hard time finding the shadow side of the blue and the light side of the blue. I think the light side of the blue, how the blue turns when it's in light, depending the temperature of the light, I still have a hard time finding that blue. Because it's very hard. The blue stays pretty dark in value even when it's heated by the light. So sometimes I have a hard time finding the proper value for the blue that is in the light side. I think on the vase it works pretty good. So yeah, here I'm adding the finishing touch, the touch that are usually very, very much pleasant to apply, and that I look for to apply when I start a painting. And I'm very happy about that vase series, and consider subscribing if you like this type of content. I try to share everything I learn while painting.